The year is 900 AD. Stand with me on a windswept hill in Wessex, looking out over a land still raw from war. This is not the England of postcards, but a wild, untamed place. Dark forests, marshy rivers, and scattered villages clinging to survival. For decades, Viking longships brought terror, burning monasteries and toppling kingdoms. The people below, tilling the fields, are survivors, descendants of those who faced the great heathen army. Every sunrise is a victory, every harvest a defiance against chaos. Strangers are met with suspicion. A distant sail or horn can send a village into panic. Life is intensely local, bound by the seasons and the demands of the land. Yet, a fragile order is returning. Under King Alfred the Great, who died just last year, the tide began to turn. A new strategy and determination have taken root. This generation knows peace is fragile, and survival is earned daily through vigilance and hard work. The threat from the Viking-held Danelaw remains ever-present. Fields must be ploughed, livestock tended, watchtowers manned. There is no room for complacency. Survival is a community effort built on grit and an unbreakable will. This is the story of how they endured and how they laid the foundations for England. Their struggle would shape a nation. To understand the people of 900 AD, you must know the terror they survived. In the 860s, the Great Heathen Army, a vast coalition of Norse warriors, descended on England, not just to raid but to conquer. Kingdoms fell: Northumbria, East Anglia, Mercia. For ordinary people it was an apocalypse. Tales spread of towns destroyed, churches desecrated, kings slain. The Vikings used terror as a weapon, their attacks shattering morale. By the late 870s, only Wessex stood, led by the young King Alfred, forced into hiding in the marshes. Yet from desperation, resistance was born. Alfred rallied his followers, waging guerrilla war. In 878, at Edington, Alfred's army won a decisive victory, halting the Viking advance. The Treaty of Wedmore split England. The Danelaw in the north and east, Wessex in the south and west. The generation of 900 AD grew up on this frontier, shaped by war and Alfred's reforms. They lived with the enemy contained, not defeated, and survival meant constant vigilance. Open warfare gave way to a grinding struggle of fortification and resilience. The memory of the great heathen army haunted them, a reminder of what was at stake. Their world was forever changed by fire and fear, but from that crucible a new England began to emerge. For most people, survival was rooted in the soil. Life followed the relentless cycle of agriculture: ploughing, sowing, reaping, storing. The ceorl, or peasant farmer, was the kingdom's backbone, gambling each year against weather and disease. A good harvest meant life, a bad one, starvation. Villages pooled resources for oxen and ploughs, working open fields divided into strips. Wheat, rye, barley and oats were staples, with every family tending their share. Harvest was a communal effort. Every hand needed, every moment critical. After the grain was gathered, it was threshed, milled, and carefully stored for winter. The margin for error was razor-thin. Survival depended on the land and the community's labour. This agricultural rhythm was the heartbeat of England. The Viking invasions taught King Alfred that defence required more than armies. It needed strongholds. His answer? A network of fortified towns, or burhs, no more than a day's march apart. Built with earth and timber, these burhs had ramparts, palisades, and gatehouses, defensive marvels of their age. Inside, life mixed military readiness with bustling trade. Markets and craftsmen thrived behind the walls. Burhs were permanently garrisoned, their upkeep shared by local landowners. For villagers, the burh was a refuge when danger loomed. This system changed survival in southern England, making quick Viking raids far more difficult. Burhs became symbols of community effort and the seeds of future English towns. They embodied a new strategy, static defense, paired with mobile response. Survival depended on a rigid social structure. At the top stood the king, then nobles and thegns, warriors who held land for service. Most people were ceorls, free peasants bound by duty to their lord, who offered protection in return for labour and rent. Below them were slaves or thiaus, performing the hardest work. The village and family were the core units. Life was communal, every task shared. Obligations to neighbours, lord and king held society together. This system, though harsh, organised society for defence and survival. Cooperation was not optional, it was the only way to endure. Survival meant mastering essential skills: food preservation, animal husbandry, and textile making. Grain was dried and stored. Meat was salted, smoked, or dried to last the winter. Oxen ploughed fields, cows gave milk, sheep provided wool, and pigs foraged in the woods. Women spun wool into thread, dyed it with plants, and wove it into cloth for clothing. Every man knew woodworking, building shelters, fences, and tools. Wattle and daub walls, thatched roofs, and hand-dug wells were all made by local hands. Knowledge of the land, where to find food, wood, and water, was vital. These skills were not hobbies, but the foundation of resilience. Each generation passed them down, ensuring the community's survival. In this world, self-reliance was everything. Physical toughness alone wasn't enough. People needed spiritual and mental resilience. Christianity was woven into daily life. Faith explained suffering, offered hope, and united communities. The village priest and church were central, providing comfort and structure. King Alfred championed written law, creating a unified code to replace blood feuds with justice. Laws covered everything from theft to murder, giving people a sense of order and fairness. Even powerful lords were, in theory, subject to the king's law. This legal and spiritual framework fostered a sense of shared identity, the English people. Faith and law gave meaning to hardship and hope for a better future. Together, they were the psychological armour against a harsh world. England in 900 AD was forged in crisis, rebuilt by the endurance of ordinary people. The farmer guiding his oxen, the woman spinning wool, the village raising burr walls. These were the true architects of survival. Their pragmatism and cooperation shaped every aspect of life, from farming to defence. The social hierarchy and burr network, though imperfect, provided stability and protection. Alfred's reforms laid the groundwork for a unified England, carried on by his children. The burghs grew into towns, the laws and customs evolved, but their core purpose endured. The grit of common people stands out. They were not passive victims, but active builders of their world. Through faith, law, and relentless labour, they forged the character of a new nation. Their story is one of hope, order, and collective strength. From their struggle, England was born.